I'm excited today. We got Richard Burnette. He's the former president of the local chairman of the Republican Party. He's the vice president of Andrew Johnson Bank and a constable. He's a great guy. It's going to be a good discussion.
We did a thing, took my son and my grandson to the Trump inauguration, 3 generations, and they interviewed us. One of the big local news stations interviewed us in D.C.
Is that right?
Yeah, because my little grandson, he was 6, and a huge Donald Trump guy. He even tried to comb his hair like Donald Trump. So it was great. So anyway.
I've been meaning to ask you, you're not related to Johnny Burnette, are you?
I don't think so.
He lived on off 20th Street towards the railroad track.
Yeah.
Johnny Burnette.
I don't know that name. If it is, it's a distant kin.
Are the Burnettes from Cleveland originally?
Yes. Yeah.
Born and raised?
Dalton Pike. Yeah, my granddad bought a farm in the 30s down there on Dalton Pike. And
how far down?
South of Farmingdale.
Boy, that's a long way. That's almost down to Green. No.
You know, Red Hill Valley turns off left.
Yeah, Red Hill.
South of that.
Well, right down at Red Hill Valley Friday, boy, it's really.
Oh, it's grown.
It's grown. There's houses where I thought it was farmland.
And Farmingdale is, I don't know how many houses are in Farmingdale. It's over 300, somebody told me.
On the courthouse square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
Farmingdale was a subdivision that I just sort of never noticed, except where are they living, reckon? Are they from Dalton working in Cleveland or Cleveland working in Dalton?
Both. Both. I see of a morning, I mean, man, there's 1 million cars comes out of Farmingdale and turns south. And that surprises you because you think about those folks are going to work somewhere.
Well, they're not going to Varnell.
Yeah, and there's not Cohutta.
No, they're not going to Cohutta.
That's right. And so the next stop's Dalton, you know, and you know, of course, I know the carpet mills have a lot of
carpet
folks,
mills.
you know, still, even to this day, even though it's not like what it was. But, you know, there's some furniture manufacturers down there. And
who would have thought 300 houses way down Dalton Pike? Because that's not near anything.
There's no shopping centers. There's a couple of Dollar General stores. That's your shopping. The closest one is up there at Walmart on McGrady. Down there at that south end.
It'd have been a hard sell for a banker to back that subdivision, I would have thought.
I was, the guy that originally bought it was Jim Richmond, the surveyor.
Oh, Jim? Mm-hmm. Oh, well, he knows what he's doing.
He sold it to a couple of investors, and matter of fact, Southern Heritage, back when I worked at Southern Heritage, actually did the loan for that.
Is that
development.
right?
Mm-hmm. Sure did.
Well, it worked out.
It did well. It did. They were unlucky to be in the development part of it in 07, 08, and 09, so it was tough then, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, and it went a long time, kind of drug slow there for a while, but then once it got past 09, then it started a little bit and a little bit more, and then, man, it just took off. And they're still expanding. There's still room for more houses down there.
Was it all septic, I guess? I guess it's good ground, though, for septic.
It is. It's pretty good ground. Yeah, it perks pretty good down there. So it's and you have Ocoee Utilities for the water. You can do that. But of course, you have the cable company still. You can still get cable down there, which gets you internet and the whole. So it's pretty good development down there.
And it's a quick. Once you get through Waterville, it's pretty quick to get down there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it really is. It's and the roads are pretty good down that farm.
When I was 16, started driving, I used to drive all the way down to the Dalton line to get a lottery ticket. That was my just my Saturday late afternoon. I felt like I was going out of town or something. Felt like it was a big shot.
You go down there.
What was the name of that? Was it Clara's or was Clara's on Spring Place?
Claire's was on Spring Place. It was, oh my goodness, I'm just blank on the name of it, but it's a family.
Clara's.
The one on Dalton Pike.
Okay, yeah.
Just across the line. But everybody went there for lottery tickets and cheap gas because Georgia had cheaper tax on their gas. So it was usually 10 cents or so, 15 cents a gallon cheaper. And then, of course, Georgia went up on their gas tax, and Tennessee was cheaper then. So
There for a while, they would have where you could sit and play bingo or something like that.
on the ride up there a little ways. Yeah, I can't remember what that. Yeah, that didn't last long.
It didn't last long.
It was just too far out. There wasn't anything close about to draw people in other than that. So
Those old gas stations, they just seem to stay around. I just wonder when they're going to decide that they don't. Wonder when the electric cars and charging them at home is going to do away with the gas stations, but evidently it's just not going to be a while.
I don't think I'll live long enough to see it. I believe if you saw where, I think it was Hertz or Avis, one of the two rental car companies dropped 60,000 of their battery operated cars, dumped them. So because of the maintenance and the risk of the self-driving and things, they dumped them off the market. I think that.
How do they handle all those lawsuits from the self-driving? Maybe it's.
I don't know.
But I do believe it. I do believe there'll be a time when they're all electric.
Do you think so?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've ridden in a few Teslas.
Oh, dude.
And it's not the same.
Yeah.
As a regular car.
No doubt.
But maybe they'll get them down to where they've got better batteries or something.
Well, that's the expensive part and of course the other thing is, what do you do with those batteries once they're over with?
Yeah.
Because you can't bury them. You can't take them to a scrapyard and crush them because they explode. That's the Gerdau down in Chattanooga. That's what started that big, they have a big, huge scrapyard down there. And they believe that's what started their fire there, where somebody had a battery out of a car and crushed it and it exploded and set the place on fire. So
what was that, a junkyard or something? Or
it's a scrapyard.
So they had to make sure all the batteries out. I guess that's a big deal.
Same way with our guys here in Cleveland, Kiesler and then the guy on Inman Street there. They watch them real close, and everything, of course, has those batteries in them. Even your cell phone has. Of course, that's not going to be a huge explosion, but your TVs have things in them. Everything has those batteries in it, and the cars are just so. They're tough to do with. So my question is, what do you do with those batteries once they go bad? Where do you put them? Got to store them somewhere.
Forever.
Yeah, forever.
I guess.
Oh yeah, because you can't.
So it seems to me like battery technologies is going to be the thing that changes it.
I think so. They'll have to come up with something, I believe, that'll change the way those things are being able to be disposed of. I think.
I guess the lithium in them is what's.
That's correct. Yeah, that makes it tough because it's a huge groundwater issue if you try to bury them. And then the fire risk if you try to do away with them. So can't shred them, can't crush them.
I hadn't been down to Kiesler's in a long time, but when I went down there, boy, they had a big operation. Is it still that big?
They do, and he's bought a shredder that takes and it's kind of I tell folks, you ought to go by there and watch that thing run. You can drop let's say you drop a car in there or whatever, and it chops it up in little pieces like this and then separates it as it comes out.
With a magnet and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. It's a trommel. You know what a trommel is? It uses a trommel.
I've seen them crush up like sledgehammers and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean it comes out like the size of a big seashell, sort of.
Well, I bet there's a lot of maintenance on that machine, cutting the blades or something.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's an interesting piece of equipment, though. It's a huge piece of equipment. When it runs, it shakes the world.
Seems like that would be a really good business to be in.
Yeah, there's always going to be scrap, and there's always going to be a market for it. It's very cyclical of what is, copper for a long time was what,
Yeah.
I mean, that was the big thing, copper, 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 and then it was brass, and then, I think it's cadmium or whatever it is, and all those things like that.
What they get out of those catalytic converters? Don't they get some heavy metals out of it?
Yeah, and I can't remember what that is out of those things. Yeah, but
Couldn't be much, could it?
those things, when they were in their peak, there were some that were $600 and $800.
Just for an old catalytic converter.
Mm-hmm.
Now you figure whatever that somebody had to get it, cut it up, and take it out, so it's probably worth $1,500.
Yeah, or they shred it or whatever. And and they have companies. These scrapyards will buy whole cars, and I'm going to make a number up. Let's say it gives you $500 for your 1993 Chevy Impala or whatever. And he'll take the radiator out of that thing and take the core out of that and use it for something. Take the wheels off and put those over here. He has a place to sell the batteries. Then they'll take the catalytic converter off of it and put it over here.
I remember growing up,
Crazy.
people I ran around with, they always go to the junkyard to get their water pumps and stuff like that. It was and they'd go in, they'd be labeled, this one's for 1980 this or that.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of almost, I'm sure it still goes on with a lot of the junkyards. Now the scrap yards are a whole different world.
Because they got all kinds of different stuff, I guess.
Yeah. So.
But if you wanted to find a seat, I got a work truck, and I was trying to find a seat for it. And you just can't hardly find a seat for it. Just a replacement seat. It costs more than the vehicle.
You can Google anything, don't find that stuff.
Well, the guy I took it to, he evidently knew how to do it because he got it, and it was the whole thing was less than I could have found it for.
Oh, yeah.
So there must be some kind of an underground connection with that me and you maybe don't know what it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know where to start to look.
If you had everything to start over with, would you be in a different business?
I've told folks that yes and no. I enjoy banking. I had an interesting way of getting in banking. I worked for Red Mullinax at Superior Olds Cadillac.
What'd you do there?
I started off as a salesman, worked my way up into the management, and then General Motors called me and said, there's a dealership in Dayton that's having a hard time with their General Motors store. Would you be interested in buying in? So I went over and met with Charlie Rogers over in Dayton, Tennessee. And this was in the mid-'80s. And we came on, and I bought part of Crown Motors from him and Charlie Rogers Ford. So
was it real expensive or?
Not terribly expensive in a little town like Dayton. You still had the ferry, so that tells you how long ago it was. So Dayton was an island to itself over there, and more or less. And so I went to work over there and kind of helped Charlie get the General Motors store out of the ditch a little bit. He had a guy in there that didn't do real well, and we started doing really well, and he bought me out. He was the majority owner.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine said, hey, there's a bank, you ought to go talk to them that does automobile loans. So I said, oh, that'd be great. So I interviewed with this bank, and that's how I got into banking business. It was Boatman's Bank, and they did a ton of third-party auto financing. Like if you go to a car dealership and they say, hey, we have a bank that'll finance your car for you, that's what I did. And they got bought by Nations, and then I went through 9 buyouts when Nations was buying all those banks all over the country. And the 9th one they bought was Bank of America, and they changed their name to Bank of America. And I don't ever say anything ill. I just knew I didn't want to work for that big of a bank all over. It was at the time it was the largest bank in the world. It's still Chase, Bank of America, and Wells and Fargo are always 1, 2, or 3, usually in some order. And I had a chance to work for a small startup bank, and then came back and worked for Southern Heritage, and now
were they looking for someone to? Were they looking for a position, or did you go approach them?
I approached them.
That was when they first started. Were you on the ground floor?
At the bank out of Memphis, yes. It was.
I mean the one here, Southern Heritage. Yeah.
No, it was already up and going.
Oh.
It had maybe a year or so, something like that. Maybe a year and a half or so.
I can't remember when they started.
That's I don't remember. I was there almost 10 years, and I had an opportunity to go with Andrew Johnson. And I talked to them. They contacted me in the past a few times, and good folks. Still a community bank and based out of Greenville.
Yeah.
Obviously, home of Andrew Johnson. So
Yeah.
the first impeached president. So, but it was. Had a good opportunity there and worked my way up to senior vice president. So.
See, that's where Bob Telefero is with Greenville Bank,
Federal.
right?
And
Greenville
these are
Federal.
Greenville Federal.
Or is that
That's our sister bank.
What
Sure
does it
is.
mean by sister bank? I always wondered that.
The Brandon Hull is the chairman of the board of Greenville Federal. And the Hull family is a large shareholder of that bank. Brandon Hull's wife is my chairman of the board and CEO of Andrew Johnson. And the Hull family is a large shareholder of Andrew Johnson as well. So they're sister banks. Now Greenville Federal's no savings and loan, and we're an FDIC bank. So but it's
So it's two different banks.
correct.
Just
Yeah.
have a lot of commonalities.
We do.
maybe.
Yeah, I tell everybody it's got a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But it's
Well, the
it's a
banking
good bank.
business has taken a lot of different turns, I guess, from say the mid '80s to now.
Yes.
Just regulations and I guess rules.
Yes.
I remember the mid '80s. You know, you remember the lines of the 90-day notes? Everybody get 90-day notes, 90-day notes.
With no problem.
No problem. They handed them to you as you went out the door.
I mean, I told them, I said, stuff that I did early on, I would get fired for today. If you picked the phone up and you said, hey, Richard, I'm down in Atlanta and I ran across a really good buy on a backhoe.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness, and I'm going to write this guy a check and I'll be back next week and sign some papers.
Yep.
Yeah, write it, I'll cover it. I'd get fired tomorrow for that.
You just can't do that no more, can you?
And the old, hey, come by one day next week and we'll get those papers signed. I put the money in your account.
Yeah, no.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I guess even a 90-day note for whatever reason is not even a thing really anymore. Maybe.
Nowhere near like what it used to be. We always called them early on signature notes. You come by and you sign right here and you say, hey, I need to borrow $15,000. Yeah, sign this right here. And here's pay me back and see you in 90 days.
Yeah,
And
pay
you
the
were out
interest monthly.
And you were out the door in 90 days, you came, paid me off. And now to do an unsecured signature note is, I tell everybody, you got a better chance of me winning a beauty contest and getting a big unsecured loan financed anymore. It's just hard.
Big being what, 250 or $1 million?
On up, anywhere over 250 to 500,000 and up is.
And the reality is, if you need 250 or up, you probably need to know why they need it.
Yeah, that's right.
50 might be different.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, if you came to me and said, hey, look, I need a $10,000 signature note, I'd say, yeah, come on in, we'll get it fixed out. But if you came to me and said, I need one for $650,000, and I'm going to say, hey, I need to know some more about this. What are you doing with it? Where's it going? What you going to do? Why do you need it for just 90 days and things like that?
I wonder if we had a way of knowing if the old way performed better, or is the new way that much more better? I don't guess you'd ever know, but if you could do a study, it would be interesting. And it may be that the people you were dealing with back then, maybe a handshake maybe they'd sell their soul to pay you back.
That's right.
And now it didn't work.
Yeah, I'll just file
I'll
bankruptcy.
just give them the keys.
Yeah, I'll throw them the keys, file bankruptcy.
So I don't know if it would have been different in that way or not.
Well, I think the other thing you look at is what's the difference in the character of the people right now versus 30 years ago. If a guy said, hey, Richard, I'm going to pay you back, if he had to get out here on the side of the road and pick up cans, he's
Whatever
he had to mow grass or
sell your soul,
whatever
literally.
he had to do, that's what he was going to do to pay you back, and you really didn't worry about it. But the other thing is you really knew that person very well too.
And maybe
Cleveland's grown so much you don't know people like you used to.
I wonder too if the ways of getting the money back were more effective then than they are now. Maybe your hands are more tied of how you can get it if
Correct.
you don't get it, whereas then you could manipulated a little bit more. Maybe that was it.
Well, and think back, how many people did you ever hear file bankruptcy?
It wasn't even popular till 2008.
Yeah.
Now it's almost, I don't want to say accepted, but I hear people say, I've always paid my bills except '08 and '09.
Yeah.
You know, oh, okay.
Yeah.
'08 and '09.
Well, I think we'll give you a pass.
We'll give you a pass.
Yeah.
Kind of like, remember when they came out when they started saying, they on those mortgage loans, they'd say, he's got good credit, except for these medical things, so we don't count them because it was medical.
Yeah. And we counted, used to count everything.
Yeah, used to count everything,
That's
and
right.
then started kind of discounting. And that might have been what led to the '09 stuff.
Yeah.
Or
You know, the thing you look at is, and I haven't seen statistics here lately, but Tennessee is always in the top 3 states in the country for bankruptcy filings,
now that is interesting. And
behind Nevada and California.
Now, I wonder why that would be. I just don't have any, because you'd think I'd have bet it'd have been towards the bottom.
Yeah, just because it's still very rural in
Very
most parts.
rural and more conservative principled, we'd think.
But it's always way up there in the bankruptcy filings, which is always kind of goes against what you would think about.
Oh, yeah, I would have never thought that.
Yeah, it just doesn't really make sense. You look at it and you go, that can't be right. But then you dig into it. It is correct. They are one of the most, or we are one of the most bankruptcy-ridden states there is. So kind of interesting.
First thing I ever bought, I went and borrowed $2,000 at the credit union and used it for a down payment. And anyway, it was a little bit, it wasn't really my money, so it was sort of a weird deal. And then we used to get lines of 90-day notes from Georgia Gann. She'd do 90-day note, and then we'd renew it 3 times. She'd say, "Now, Dee, we need to pay it. Well, can you put it on payments, Georgia?" She'd put it on a 1-year payout. You could stretch that thing out for 3 years.
I love Georgia Gann. I worked with her at Southern Heritage. She was.
Oh, that's right. She was there on the branch.
Yeah, she was.
How long has she been retired?
Oh my goodness, 12, 14 years, 15
Has it
years
been that
or so.
long? Good
Something like
grief.
that, I guess so. I guess it's been at least 10 or 12 years.
She was from the old school and had to come into the new.
Yeah. Her and Karen Perkle. You remember Karen Perkle? She worked, I think, at
Oh,
First
yeah,
American.
Karen, yeah.
She came with us at
Yeah.
Southern Heritage, and they
You know,
were
I
two-
forgot about that, but you're right.
I worked with Karen. I worked with Taylor Howard, Sonny.
Taylor, yeah, Sonny.
Oh yeah, he's one of my favorite people to ever work with.
I saw him walking around Lee College. He was high stepping all the way around the.
I love
thing.
I tell you, man, that guy was so smart in doing business. He was everybody knew him. Everybody liked him.
Yeah.
If you couldn't get along with him, you couldn't get along with anybody.
no.
And he had that old dry sense of
Dry
humor.
sense, like MASH.
Yeah, and I mean,
He always reminded me of Alan Alda a
Yeah.
little bit. Looks.
oh yeah, big old tall,
Yeah,
skinny,
lanky,
looking
kinda lanky.
I remember when he was worked at Miller's at the mall,
That's
at the
before
Village
me.
Mall.
Was he just well, that must have been young.
Yeah, I think, now he can probably correct me on this. I think his mom may have been one of like the store managers or men's department manager or something like that.
His
She was
mom would have been
she did. She was a manager.
Tucker Duncan's mother.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's real nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, but no, wouldn't be. Taylor's mom wouldn't have been Tucker Duncan's mom.
Taylor Howard's
Yeah.
sister
Yeah,
is Tucker Duncan's mother.
Taylor Howard's wife's sister. Yes, they're sisters.
I thought it was his sister.
It's his wife's sister.
Boy, I stand corrected.
Yeah,
I've thought this all those
Eddie
years.
Duncan's
Eddie
widow.
Duncan's widow. So that's not Taylor's sister.
Sister-in-law.
Boy, I never knew that. But I had the connection. I just
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah,
Well, I didn't know that.
yeah. So small world.
It's small world.
I tell you,
I get things mixed up here. I could have started rumors.
Yeah, listen, you know those saying in the banking world, if you hadn't heard a good rumor about 10 o'clock, start one. So that's always the motto. But
You think where there's smoke, there's fire?
absolutely, I think there is.
Something smoldering.
I think usually there's a little, it may not be a very big fire, but there's usually a little bit of fire in there.
They say in the banking business things change monthly, and in every other business they change yearly or something like that. It's more of
The banking is so regulated. I just left last week. I was in Nashville for the Tennessee Bankers Association, a credit conference, and I heard they do a legislative update, and you sit back and you look at those things and you listen and you just go, who is coming up with this, and why are we doing this? And it's mind-boggling, the changes that happen all the time. When there's some things that don't need to be changed that drastically. And you have bank exams, from the state, from the FDIC or whomever. You have an internal auditor and you have an external audit group. Banks are very well watched.
Yeah.
And if you have a good board of directors and people in charge, a bank is very safe. Now, you're always going to have some knuckleheads like the big one out in California that failed,
yeah.
But I also remind folks and say that on their advisory board was, oh my goodness, Oprah. Now, would you want Oprah Winfrey on your advisory board of a bank? Would she know about advising a board? So.
And you wonder about some of these boards. How do people get on them? You know it.
It's a long process. You have to be business oriented of some sort. I guess that's what makes boards. Like our board, we have an attorney. We have a guy that's a realtor. We have a guy that owns a propane company that distributes propane. We have a lady that is a developer, sort of like what you do, and owns a golf course, no less. So then you have your management, some of your managers. You think about it, it's a very diverse board. Same way with Southern Heritage before they were sold, bought and sold.
They were diverse.
Oh yeah, you had doctors and lawyers and realtors and insurance, people, very successful insurance managers, and so it was a diverse board. And I think that's what makes a bank strong, is not just have everybody pigeonholed in one group, not have everybody realtors or builders or whatever, or have everybody that's a lawyer. Or have everybody that's in one type of business. When you diversify that, I think that gives you a better perspective of
You
ideas.
ever have to tell people, I can't give you a loan?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Do you get used to that?
Yeah. I tell everybody, a no is really one step closer to helping them, because usually what I'll do is let's say you come to me and you've had some bad credit issues. You've been late on your house and they've almost repossessed your pickup truck. Well, you come to me you want to refinance your house. And I say, look, here's where I got to get your credit up. You've got to get some time, have a good payment history for the next couple of years, and come and see me. Let's see what we can do then. It gives them some hope rather than just say, you're a bum, I can't help you, So I think when you sit down and you're just very open and transparent with them, they understand to know. And usually they know coming in it's going to be a tough climb to, get a loan done sometimes.
Well, it's sad, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And I tell everybody, the hardest thing is telling somebody no. That's how the bank makes money, is doing loans.
They have to. That's what they do.
That's right. That's how we make money. And so telling you no doesn't make us money. Now, we have to do credit-worthy loans, obviously, and to credit-worthy customers. And, we with decent collateral and securities. And, we look at your business, your personal credit and things like that, and before we make a loan decision. But it's telling them no is not fun. I'll tell you, it's not. Especially a lot of people that come in and and they're in a bind sometimes. That's hard when it's,
Yeah.
you know, when you say, look, I just can't help you right now. Come back and see me in maybe a year or so. But tell them, tell them yes is easy. That's the easy part.
There needs to be a place where people can get money that's just needing 20,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, that we have that, that community credit union that Dennis Collins did.
Yeah, down on Blythe Avenue.
Blythe, yeah.
Do
Blythe
they have
School.
less regulation?
I think so. I think they're a little. Now, you know, obviously, if you just walk in and say, I need 20 grand,
Yeah.
he don't just plop you out 20 grand and send you on
Yeah.
your way. I mean, he still has underwriting and things. But I think it is a little more, I don't want to say bad credit, or let's say a little higher risk customer, I guess would be a better way of saying that they can do some things that a bank can't do.
Could they do stuff that a credit union couldn't do?
It is a
too?
credit union.
Okay, it's just,
It's a little,
what's his name?
Dennis Collins.
Dennis Collins, yeah. Is he still down there?
Oh, yeah.
I hadn't been
Well,
down
he
there.
was a couple months ago, I assume
I
he
hadn't
still
been
is.
down there. I went down there one time and saw him, just
Yeah.
say hi, because it's
Yeah.
in that old building.
Yeah, the old school building.
Yeah.
There's several different things in there. So they've really fixed the playground up and done
Yeah.
some things down in that community. And
Would you go, if you had to do it all over again, would you have gone to school to be a banker or
Now,
what?
I think I got sidetracked about how I would probably, if I knew, I took some flying lessons, got my pilot's license, private pilot's license. I would like to either be an airline pilot or, you're going to think I'm crazy on this, a real estate appraiser.
Real estate appraiser would be good. I always thought I was going to do that and just never got the chance.
Yeah, I thought, man, if I knew then what I knew now, that's probably the way I would have went.
But they probably have. We probably wouldn't believe the issues they have too. Maybe they've got
and liability.
liability. Yeah.
Oh yes, and I would have done commercial more than residential. There's so few commercial appraisers in this area. There's just not a lot.
No, there's like none. They have to have what, a MIA certification or something, or MAI, something like
Yeah,
that.
I believe that's right. Yeah. And I think we've got maybe one or two here in Cleveland, and that's about it. And then there's 3 or 4 in Chattanooga, but they don't like to come to Cleveland.
They're backed up,
They got
probably.
all they can do in Chattanooga. Why would they want to come to Cleveland? We've actually used a group out of Knoxville a few times, because we couldn't get a timely manner. If you were trying to buy a 20-unit apartment building, you didn't want to wait 4 months for an appraisal. So we would have to look
That's
elsewhere.
another thing that's changed. The time that it takes to close, doesn't it? Waiting on a survey. Of course, I think a lot of that might be getting better now.
It is. The appraisers and the surveyors are still book solid. Don't get me wrong there. They're
Yeah.
not twiddling their thumbs, but they're not weeks behind like they were.
No, they're maybe 2 weeks or 3.
That's right. Yeah, I'd say that's a fair number.
Well, things change, don't they? And I've seen it. Things are really booming right now, but I've seen it. The thing about this business is, when it stops, it stops.
It screeches.
The next day.
I mean,
It's not like it stops
it's
slow
not this.
crawl. No,
It's
it's
just
just boom.
yeah. How many? I've often wondered, how many doors have you built?
420.
Is that right?
Yep.
Isn't that something? That's
Yeah. I
very
took
successful.
2 pictures of each.
Yeah.
I've got proof.
Oh, I believe you.
I had a guy the other day argued that said I hadn't, but I've got 2 pictures of each.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know what made me start doing that, but I started taking a picture with a little Polaroid camera. And so today I still have to go and take 2 pictures after. I don't take a lot of time at just one side and the other side.
right.
And but I still have to go to Walgreens,
Get it.
and they think I'm crazy and then I have to buy another one.
Print.
And every time I do it, I think, well, there's 27 exposures. That's 12. Will they still be doing this? Because I don't want to mess up the type of picture in my box.
Yeah. That's pretty good. I knew it was a lot. That's very impressive.
And that's not counting additions or
Oh
renovations.
yeah. That's.
Just-
Oh my goodness. That's.
That'd be more.
Yeah. No doubt.
You'd think I'd be rich.
Well, you are
No.
rich.
not like I should if I had 400. If I'd have Of course, back then, I would build them just to say I did. If they knew how cheap I'd have worked, I couldn't have made a living.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to work at a factory.
Is it still hard to get subs?
No,
Not like it was.
not at all.
Yeah, I know for a while it was rough getting.
Yeah, no, that's
subs.
that's caught up quick, and the supply chains are catching up.
They are.
Everything's back where it was.
Yeah, getting close. That's for sure.
Interest rates are a little higher, but it's the interest rates is lower than the average it's been since I've been involved. So it's not high yet.
Right. I always laugh when people come in and say, well, what's prime interest rate? Well, it's 8.5%. Oh my gosh, 8.5%. And I'm like, listen, my first house I bought, me and my wife bought, was about 950 square feet, 3 bedrooms, not much bigger than this table hardly at all. 1 bath, not even a bath and a half, little carport on the side. And there was a loan going on way back then that you could assume. And I assumed a loan.
Assumable mortgages, they call it. Assumable wraparound mortgages.
12.45% interest, and I thought I'd hit the lottery because prime interest rate then was 16, 18%.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, we have hit a home run. And if I told you today your interest rate's going to be 12.45, I'd have to go out in the parking lot and fight with you probably. So it's not.
I always think of it like this: if interest is low, prices are high.
Yeah.
Or materials up, or the subs are high. It's always one of those 4 things three of those 4 things is not ideal.
Correct.
But it never fails. Just get on the train.
Yeah. Yeah.
And monitor it. When you get a better rate, get it.
That's right.
When you can sell, get a good price above average, sell it, move on.
That's right.
But you can't if you don't get on the train.
That's right.
And anybody that's waiting for things to be right are going to be buying it from the guy that didn't.
Right. Well, here's the thing. People kept saying, "Oh, buildings home construction's getting ready to stop." I'm like, you are crazy. I'm telling you right now, it is not stopping.
It's not stopped. But
It's not slowing down.
But even if it did, it's not the new one that's in trouble. It's the old one.
Yeah, that's right. Yep, that's right.
That's not the one. It's the old one.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's really, I never have understand why they can't. They say, "Oh, there's a new motel. How they going to? It's not going to make it." No, the first one, that's the oldest one's going to be the one in trouble.
That's right. Yeah, people like newer, brighter, cleaner.
Yeah, or they can cut their prices. They can do whatever.
That's exactly.
Even if somebody foreclosed on it, the bank's got to rent it cheaper.
Sure.
So it's going to be there.
Yeah, and people always say, "Well, you've got this as collateral. The bank will make money." When we take over a piece of property, I call it the bottom feeders come out.
Yeah.
If you've got a piece of property,
And we know them.
That's right. Yeah, we do. We can write them down. No,
We
just
can write them
kidding.
down.
If you've got $1 million piece of property, the minute the bank takes it over, it's 60 cents on the dollar is a good day.
Plus, they have a lot of the legal fees they have to add to it to make sure that the owners that they're foreclosing on is done legally and can't come back, and it's a
nightmare. It's not easy as, like you said, Miguel may come in, throw you the keys to the house and say, "Congratulations, it's yours." It's not yours yet. It's a long, drawn-out process.
Years ago, I went into this bank, and this guy came in literally while I was there, and he handed the loan officer the keys, and he said, "Why don't you take it, Dee?" And I said, "What's against it?" And he told me, and I asked the guy, I said, "You don't want it?" And he said, I can't afford it. And I said, "Well, I'll take it." So I just took the keys, and they transferred the papers like 2 weeks later.
Is that right?
That was when you could do it like that.
Yeah.
I just happened to be there.
Right place, the right time. Yeah. There's a lot of opportunities like that, even today on things. I know some people that's bought some property that just, or bought houses or whatever, apartments and things. You look at it and you go, wow, they were just right on Johnny on the spot. And worked out.
A
So
lot of times it's not even being smart. They're just happen to be. You can't beat timing, can you?
no, it's perfect when you
You can't beat it.
Oh, there's nothing better.
I'd rather have timing as luck or skill.
Absolutely.
And anybody tells me that they're smart, they did it at the right time, I say, no, you're lucky.
Yeah, that's
Because
right.
nobody knows.
That's right. Who can predict it?
Nobody can predict it.
You know, if you're building 12 units of townhouses over here and you're getting ready to belly up, if somebody walks up and says, hey, man, I've always wanted to buy something like this, well, congratulations, you bought them. That's all in timing. And that guy wasn't skillful in doing that. So,
You know, I remember back in the, I guess it was maybe, there was a period towards the late 90s when we would, there was a joke, we don't require deposits for apartments. We give you a new set of tires. Because there was about a 3 or 4 year period there where it was hard to rent stuff.
yeah.
So things change.
Oh, absolutely. I'm doing a development in Chattanooga. Matter of fact, it's already completed. And rent on it's not, they're nice, but $2,600 a month rent.
Yeah,
And I said, man, the headlines of the paper tomorrow would be banker jumps off bridge.
yeah.
If I was paying $2,600 a month in rent. And he's got a waiting list. And I'm like, oh my.
His mother's brothers.
Probably. I'm not asked to see
don't
you
ask.
but they're really nice, and they're in
Those
the
people
downtown area.
Those
where
people that
everybody
are doing that are making they're having to make $10,000 a month to pay that.
Yeah.
That's wonder where they're working to make $120,000 a year.
Oh, I know. They've got some very good jobs. Yeah, they're.
Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever seen any correlation between people's businesses worked that are real positive versus people's businesses that don't work that are not positive? Is there any correlation, do you see, that perception is reality with them?
I think it goes back sort of to that character thing. How many people with good character ever see that has a bad reputation and a bad personality and a bad look of negativity? Not a lot. Most people that are positive have good character. I always think like not always, but if you're positive and you have a good outlook and a good work ethic, you're gonna have good character. You're gonna make your business be better than that next guy. I think that goes hand.
Maybe
in
that's
hand.
what do they call that, causation or something like that.
It's I think there's. I always like dealing with folks that are upbeat and positive. The old naysayer. I mean, if you have folks that you go, oh well, here comes, Joe Blow.
Mad about everything.
Yeah, he's going to be upset over something.
Oh, Lord.
Gas went up 3 cents a gallon yesterday. I can't, I'm going broke putting gas in my car.
The teller didn't hand me a sucker when I went there.
That's right. Y'all ran out of dog bones for my dog at the drive-through window the other day.
Who started that, Rick?
I don't know, but we run out from time to time. As a matter of fact, I got to go buy some today. So I'm like, oh my
Just
goodness.
another thing, right?
Yeah,
What kind do you get?
I usually get the good stuff.
The milk bones?
Milk bones, yeah.
If you get that generic, they won't hardly eat it.
Well, and I look at it this way: most people that are dog lovers, they want their dog treated better than they do their kids. And
You get the minis or the medium size?
I kind of get the medium size,
Yeah.
and if it's a little dog, I'll say, "Would you like for me to break this in half?" And
I carry them in my car. Those big ones.
Yeah.
For
well,
there's some places I drive by and I'll throw them out like the ice cream man.
Yeah.
And they'll see my car coming.
Now I carry them with me in my constable car if I have to get out and go serve papers.
yeah.
And they got a great old big dog, doesn't
Throw
look
them
real
with
friendly.
them dog.
I'll
You
carry
can
me
go
some
back
bones.
5 years later and the dog will still remember you gave him that.
Yeah, I'll carry me some bones in my pocket, and if I see a big dog, I'll give him one, because I'd rather do that is have to pepper spray him to keep him from biting me. So,
What would make you want to be a constable?
oh, my wife says I'm stupid, but
Is it a hobby?
I enjoy it. My great-grandfather was sheriff of Roane County, way back in the 1800s. My great-grandfather ran what they call the county farm here in Bradley County, which is the main part, was where Cleveland High School is now. Ran along Mouse Creek all the way up through there. And they farmed that and fed the poor people.
That was the county farm.
That's
Who
right.
was it that I had on here? Well, that was Ed Lewis's. Didn't Ed Lewis?
My great-grandfather was the county farm manager, and a lot of who they worked were prisoners.
Yeah, I think Ed Lewis or Randy Fox maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then my dad, of course, was deputy sheriff under Sam Cannon.
Oh, I knew Sam well.
Yeah, way back
I
in
knew
the
Sam
late
well.
60s or early 60s.
So he was a deputy under Sam. Mm-hmm. He worked with
Jarvis Gibson and
Troy Dixon's dad. Dixon?
Yeah, seems like there was. I can't.
There's a picture down at
Smith. There was a Bill Smith. Maybe
there's a picture down on at John Kinder's with Sam raiding a steel, and somebody was with him. That might have been your dad.
My dad was probably in there. I've got a picture of down off of way down the south end off of Cahola Creek.
And Sam was wearing a white shirt, I think, in the picture, and was carrying a rifle.
And had his cowboy hat, Stetson hat on. Yeah, that's probably.
That was when they had like 4 policemen.
Yeah, my dad, you remember Ted Chase
Oh,
was
yeah.
the dispatcher.
Is that right? He just died, what, 2 years ago?
Maybe a couple years ago. Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago. Not too long ago.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I knew Ted.
That's back.
He always wore a leather jacket.
Yeah, I love Ted.
He
Chase.
liked me.
Ted was.
You ever notice sometimes some people like you and you know it.
Yeah.
And some people are friendly to you and some people are acquaintances. But Ted always made you feel like he liked you.
He always was.
I don't know if he did or not, but he made you feel like it.
Yeah, he really was.
So he was a dispatcher.
Mm-hmm. And my dad then went to work for a couple years at the city when Wes Snyder's dad, Bernard Snyder.
Bernard, yeah.
And then he went to work he worked, close to 40 years with Conrad Fennell as his investigator. Back then it was Conrad Fennell, and then it was Fennell and Thompson, which was Jim Thompson, which is Robert Thompson's dad. Then it was Fennell, Thompson, and Scott, which was Robert Scott, who later on became a partner with the Jimmies. Then it was Fennell, Thompson, Scott, Logan, which was Jimmy Logan. Then it was Fennell, Thompson, Scott, Logan, and Shockey, a guy named Robert Shockey out of Chattanooga. And he didn't stay very long. And then they had Ashley Hornby was in there. Randy Rogers was in there, who just passed away, a couple months ago now, I guess, was in there. I can't even remember who all the attorneys were through there. My dad worked there roughly 40 years or so.
He was before Snyder, I guess.
Yeah.
Before Snyder, Charlie Snyder.
Oh, yeah. Well, the firm split, don't forget. Jimmy Logan and Jim Thompson did Logan and Thompson. And Robert and Conrad still was
that's right.
Single point. And Conrad and Randy Rogers, oh my goodness, the last judge that Mike Jenny replaced, oh my goodness, that Mike Jenny he got appointed to his position.
Yeah, who was he?
Oh, I can see his face plain as day. His wife taught at Cleveland High School.
Yeah, what was his name?
You know who I'm talking about anyway.
Yeah, what drives me crazy.
He worked there. He was an attorney there, young attorney there. So I saw a lot of attorneys go through there over the years. And
what was his name? That's going to drive
Larry
us crazy.
Puckett.
Larry Puckett, that's right. That's right. I liked him.
Yeah, good man.
Yeah.
Good man. But so all those guys came through under Conrad and Jim Thompson's.
So you feel like being that's keeping you in touch with the past a little bit.
And then my son is a city police officer here. He does crash reconstructions.
Oh Lord, don't say that. I have one.
Yeah, and I was laughing. I was like, when he was a kid, I'd have to just threaten to beat him to do homework. He hated schoolwork, hated math. Oh my goodness, detested it. And what does he do all day long now?
Figures and facts, figures.
Yep, he can tell me how many, by the skid marks, how fast you were going, and the direction of travel, and who got the. I mean, it's amazing when they reconstruct a crash. And nothing but math figures, and he does that. And he's a drug recognition expert. He can tell, sort of like DUI.
Yeah.
Only through drugs, he can look at you and say,
DEI, no.
yeah, drug. It's a DRE.
DRE, yeah.
Recognition expert, and he can say, "Oh, this guy's on meth, or this guy's on fentanyl, or whatever."
Before they go to the lab or the hospital, I guess.
Yeah, he can and testify in court to it. It's pretty interesting. So, I've always been around law enforcement, and I enjoy doing constable work. I do a lot of it's PR work. There's and you serve papers, which is some of them are not good. Some of it's evictions. We'll do a writ of possession if.
A constable kind of has a loose that he has to do. He doesn't have to do anything. I guess
That's correct. Yeah, you can do nothing. You take your oath that says that you will be active and serve papers and work through the court systems and I always tell them, look, I've got a full-time job, so we have guys that are full-time constables. I always tell them, say at the clerk's office, I say, if it comes down to me or one of the guys that's a full-time constable, let them have it.
Yeah.
So we do that, do a lot of community events and things like that. I enjoy it. I really do. It's fun and
more of a labor of love than it is, I guess.
Oh, you're not making. Yeah, for what I do, I don't make money at a constable.
What area? What district is yours?
6th district,
which
is Dalton Pike, Spring Place. Down that way.
Where you were raised.
That's right, yeah. So I know a lot of people down there, which helps. And it's the largest land-wise district, I think, in the county. The 6th
I guess
district
that's Buck's Pocket, right?
Mm-hmm. All the way over down to Blue Springs.
Old Fort area, what they call Old Fort, but
Oh.
Old Fort's really in Polk County, but they call.
Yeah. Now, Old Fort is actually in the 5th district.
Oh, okay.
I think that's right. That's Wayne Henry out that way, out 64.
How many? What is there? One constable per district?
Yes.
How many are there?
7.
7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 7 constables.
You think a constable will ever go out?
Mylan Blake one time did a study, sort of a loose study. He's over the chairman of the finance committee and he said if we replace the constables in the number of papers that they serve, and we had to buy cars, send them to the academy, do the training, equip them, and all that stuff. It cost $600,000 or $700,000. I don't remember. So in a county like ours, we serve a purpose, and
Wasn't it used
we're paid through the court.
Wasn't the constable the original reason was to take information to the town from the courthouse or something when they didn't have almost your first newspaper?
That's right.
I guess, am I saying that
That's
right?
right. Yeah, he's public information
Public
guy.
information. Yeah,
that's right.
Almost like our state representatives are, I guess,
right.
to the state.
That's right. And constable's the oldest law enforcement officer in the United States. Comes across from England. We're constables, and and then I guess you think of the constables, the Texas Rangers, or a constable type deal. Then constables, we have the same arrest authority. We have to do training every year. We have classroom training. We have firearm training. You have to be certified and all
You
that.
You get to carry a gun. That means something.
A gun
doesn't
and
it?
a badge. You have total arrest. I can write tickets. I don't write I just don't do that. I'll stop you if you're doing something really dumb. I'll stop you and say, hey, look, I saw you run that red light, and I'm going to watch for it. If I say, I'm going to write you a ticket, I try to give them a break. But I'm not a law or traffic enforcement officer. The county and city both have plenty of those, and state troopers do that as well. So
that's not your focus.
That's
obviously.
right. Mine is mainly to patrol in my district, and I do that a lot. If I'm an insomniac, I'll get out at late of evening sometimes and just drive around through my district and hopefully deter anybody from breaking in a house or they'll see a law enforcement, and I'll pass out my business card. I have a business card, my name and phone number. So I enjoy doing it, getting out and meeting people.
You're vice president of a bank. constable, chairman of the Bradley County Planning Commission, and you were chairman of the Republican Party.
Correct.
Was that more of a kind of a event planner type thing, or does that carry a lot more? Is that like the Planning Commission? It carries a lot more thinking than a person looking on the outside would think.
It does. You have a lot of people when you're chairman of the Republican or the Democrat Party, either one. But if you're as chairman of the party, I would have people come to me and say, hey, I'm thinking about running for county commission or school board or state rep or whatever. Help me out. Who do I need to contact? How do I get started? Where do I go? So you're behind. You do a lot of behind the scenes planning, and you help people out, and then you have people that say, hey, what are my chances? I'm going to run against somebody that's a long-term incumbent.
Would
you
you
have to be brutally honest and tell them you're going to have a tough time.
Would you generally, as in that position, do you generally know kind of who would probably win?
Yeah, it's fairly easy to predict the winners in most cases.
When you're in that position, because more so than just somebody like me looking at ads and talking at the liar's table, you would have more of a. But why do you think that is? Because you're more in tune with the Republican Party as a whole?
Yeah, I think so. Another thing is you see what their strategy is. Hey, I'm going to target this group of voter, or I'm going to, this is what my plan is. And you say that's a plan that this guy or gal can take and run with and do well in the election.
Do you think that the elections are, I was thinking about this yesterday. Somebody asked me who I thought would win, which I said I didn't know, but I guess it's just a popularity contest.
A lot of it is, sure.
I mean,
let me give you a guaranteed winner in an election in March. Richard Burnette, because I'm unopposed. If I can get my wife to vote for me, I'm in. I'm begging her every day.
Oh, you get one vote. You vote for yourself.
Well, I couldn't vote for myself, but I'm begging my wife to vote, so I'll have at least one vote. So, but that's the only guarantee.
You vote for yourself, won't you?
No, I won't vote for myself.
Why wouldn't you?
I just wouldn't. I don't know. I'm old
Well, you
school.
got one vote.
Yeah,
I do. I'd vote for myself.
I vote for, I have never, one thing I've always said, my dad and my granddad always instilled in me, vote. My dad was a Marine Corps veteran. He joined the Marines at 17. He was in the Pacific. He was at Iwo Jima and Guadalcanal. If you know anything about the Pacific region, that was, for a 17-year-old,
There's another world coming from Bradley County.
And a little farm down there on the south end on Dalton Pike, and never seen a city other than Cleveland or maybe Chattanooga. And here he is, over there. And he always told me, he said, son, I went to war basically for people like us to have the right to vote. Don't ever miss an election. And I've never missed one. Now, way back, I voted some absentee if I was going to be gone. That's before we had early voting and things. So when people say, well, if you vote on election day, not always. Sometimes I did vote absentee. I'd love to see us go back to election day voting only and have it a national holiday.
Oh, I'm for a 2-day national election.
I wouldn't mind that.
2 days.
Yeah.
And then if you're out of state or a Marine or handicapped, you can get something notarized.
That's right.
Or something. I don't know.
I'd be fine with that, and but I think it's so important to vote. And the thing that bothers me the most, being, I don't want to say political, but associated with, I'm a poll inspector as well on election day. I'm one of the guys that goes around and checks, make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to, and so I'm involved in it. And I think that's something that bothers me is we have to beg people to get involved. We have 77,000 approximate voters in Bradley County, and we're voting 17,000.
I just don't.
That's a disgrace to me.
Isn't it something with a longer period to vote?
Yeah. People just don't care.
Used to it was 1 day, and wonder what the statistics were, say 40 years ago.
Well, the percentages had to be higher.
They had to be.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'd like to do a little
know
research.
compared to the.
Yeah.
available voters versus ones that vote.
Yeah, it's to me it's terrible that people will not vote. And I've instilled in both I have two sons, and I've always told them, said, you vote. That's get out and vote. You know, research your candidates.
Research it, yeah.
Don't go just because you know Joe Blow's daddy's sister's mama, and you're gonna vote for that guy or that lady.
Nobody
Find
knows
out
when you go
why.
in there and pull that
That's
handle
right.
who you vote for.
Find out why you want to vote for somebody. I think that's so important. I really do. I'm big into vetting candidates. I think that's something we all should do. Personally, I really do.
It's a great country we live in where we can vote, and the only thing is, if the majority decides to vote one way, we got to go that way.
That's right.
And I'm okay with it. If we all vote that way, I'm okay with
I
it.
back some losers.
Whatever they want to do,
I
whatever
can
if everybody wants them, we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, and the good thing is I think our country's strong enough, and our Constitution is strong enough, and as long as we still try to remember that, I think we'll be okay. I think we can overcome bad leaders and bad state leaders and bad local leaders. You know, I think that's part of it. I think, and sometimes when you have a bad leader, you realize how good you had it,
Yeah,
or
before.
how good you could have
Yeah.
it. You know, if you had somebody different in there. And I've voted for people that turned out to be a huge disappointment.
Do nothings.
Yeah,
I voted for do nothings.
I call them seat warmers.
Yeah.
You know, they're more in love with the position they are and actually doing something valuable for our area.
Have you ever noticed somebody was real humble before they ran, and the day they win, their personality just changes like overnight.
Yeah, they're so smart.
It's so, and the next day,
Yeah. Oh,
it's
yeah.
just something comes over them.
It really, and I don't know if it's the power or the prestige or whatever it is, ego, arrogance, I don't know, but
They can't handle it. I know that.
and I'll be honest with you, I try my best to get those folks voted out. Just to be
Oh, I do
honest with you.
too.
I'll work against them. And there's, we have people now that I know and know well that I will do my best to work against. And that doesn't mean they'll lose, but
At least I'll feel better about it.
I feel like I did my duty for my county. But
Do you think people ever, not just in politics, but as a rule, do you think people ever change their mind, or do you think they automatically have a decision and they just try to gather information to support their position, but they're not just I'm not talking about just politics, but in general. Do you think that
yeah, even in business they do that, I think so.
you really already made up your mind?
Yeah, if you're going to a builder,
Yeah.
and I say, man, Burris Construction's who I like, but then I find out ABC Construction down here really does a better job. But I've told everybody I'm a Burris Construction guy.
Now
Well, I'm committed, so now I've got to make Burris. That's a bad example.
And maybe you look for things to support that.
That's right,
You know, that's. I've heard a guy making an analogy about somebody throws something at you and you're going like this before you realize you're doing it. Well, you didn't tell your brain to look out. You're already doing it.
Right.
He says that's the way we make our decisions. We've already made them up
That's good enough.
before we know it. Everything else is just supporting that decision that we already made.
I agree. My standard line, everybody always talks about politics. Boy, I hate politics. I hate it. I said, I enjoy it because it's made up of people like us. Everybody, and whether you like them or not. But they say, well, and I've lost people I thought were my friend over politics. And my standard line there is, the day I let a political race determine who my friends are, you can call me a weak individual. I don't lose friends over politics. Now, they may drop me, but I don't let who I support or who I'm not supporting dictate who I like and who I don't like. If I like you, I'm like a bad habit. I'm hard to get rid of. You know?
And if we're always agreeing, one of us isn't thinking.
One of us is a liar.
Yeah.
Really. I mean,
Really.
because I've been married 45 years, and I promise you, I don't agree with my wife every day, and I promise you,
Yeah.
she don't agree with me.
Yeah.
'Cause I've had a black. No, I'm just kidding. But,
If you could have, she would have,
that's
right?
right. If I wasn't a faster runner, I'd probably have some black eyes. But no, it's but it's you know, it's and politics are. I enjoy it. One, because it keeps you up what's really actually going on. You know, I can tell you current events, what's going on in our county, in our state, and national elections, and I enjoy that. I really do. I wish we had. The one thing I miss so bad is an unbiased newspaper and an unbiased news account. We need Walter Cronkite type news back, where he reported on the news, and you make up your mind whether that's
Because we don't know anyway.
That's
We don't, there's no way we can know of anything at
Right.
all going on past 30 miles.
Absolutely.
And if you say, well, I travel a lot, you don't travel that, you don't live there.
No,
If you
that's
did, you wouldn't know what was going on here.
That's
So you can't be everywhere.
That's right. I'd love to have just really news stories.
Just
instead
the
of
news.
political commentary. And unfortunately, I don't care whether it's the main three channels, you know, ABC, CBS, and NBC, and then you throw in CNN and MSNBC and Fox, and they all are tilted one way or the other. And I want to hear news, and let me determine my political.
Just what happened.
Yeah, you know.
It rained yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
They
we-
won the war
yeah,
or something.
or you know, whatever it is, economic news. You know, oil
Health,
prices
for
are going
sure.
down. Health, that's absolutely. You know, so anyway, I miss that. I miss a really good newspaper.
You know what I wonder? Was it real then?
I don't know.
It makes you wonder,
It
doesn't
does, yeah.
It makes you wonder, was it real then?
Yeah, that's a good thought.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't
We
know.
don't know.
I remember watching the replays of Walter Cronkite when he talked about the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
That's about as real as you can get. I mean, that's.
What was it? Archie Bunker didn't like Walter Cronkite, wasn't that? Or he did like it. Which was it? I forget. I think it was he didn't like Walter Cronkite.
I think so. Archie Bunker was one of my.
I think Edith one time said, "Oh, he doesn't like Archie Bunker. He likes John Wayne."
Yeah.
Something like that.
I like TV could not get away with All in the Family today.
No. Or Sanford and Son.
Oh, Sanford and
Yeah.
Son. And
Boy,
all
that was
those-
funny, wasn't it?
Oh, those were great.
Remember when he
shows.
couldn't find his glasses and he opened the drawer and he had all those glasses and Lamont said, "What's them?" He said, "This one's for reading, this one's for walking, and this one's for looking for my glasses." He had one just to look for the glasses.
Oh, and those were good shows.
Boy, it was funny.
I
wasn't
was
it?
my
funny.
favorite All in the Family was when they were having the plane hijackings. And Archie gets on the local news and says, "I can stop all of that." Do you remember that? And he
I
said-
remember that.
He said, "Have the stewardess with a bucket full of guns, and as everybody gets on, give them a gun. And the hijacker's not going to stand up behind you."
That
And
would
at the
stop
end,
it.
At the end, you put your
Yeah.
gun back in the bucket as you get off the plane.
That would stop it, wouldn't it?
I said, "Well, that's pretty good." So, but those were good TV shows.
I think in our society we do everything to help the few and not just the majority, because you have to kind of have everything for the majority, because I don't know how else you could do it if it wasn't for the majority.
That's correct. But I think the other thing, I'm a huge anti-political correctness. We've lost our First Amendment rights a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, we're so worried about offending someone that you can't say really what's on your mind. You have to be guarded with what you say. And in my line of work, I promise you, I have to.
Sure.
You know, there's times I want to say something that I can't. You know, and it's kind of discouraging. And I mean, it does not have to be, you know, calling somebody a name. That's not what I'm talking
No,
about.
that's not what.
That's not political
No.
correctness. That's common sense.
Yeah, that'd get your head. Somebody hit you.
You
Yeah.
better be ready to
Yeah.
roll around in the
Yeah.
parking lot out there if you're going to do that much. But I'd love to see us get back to some civility. And we've lost respect for our fellow citizens. Nobody respects anybody like they used to. And I think that's art we've lost, and kind of I'd love to see us get back. I'm not sure the next generation respects.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't either. They don't care.
I don't know if they know how to mingle like we did.
It drives me nuts to see you go to a restaurant and you look around here, be a husband and wife and 3 kids.
Yeah, and ourselves. I find myself doing
Oh,
it.
I do too. And I'll make myself put my phone down. You know. And,
You know what I've got started doing is I'll get in the shower and I'll set my phone up on the shelf and I'll finish listening to that talk thing I was listening to.
Yeah.
And I thought the other day, last night actually, I thought, boy, I ought to quit doing this. And then I thought, well, why? I enjoy it.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Just listen to the water?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts every morning. I
Yeah.
listen. I listen to Tony Evans. I don't know if you know who Tony. He's a black preacher out of right outside of Dallas, Texas.
What's his thing?
He is just down to earth, common preaching guy. He's very
What
dynamic.
religion or
I'm not sure. Probably semi-Baptist, semi-Church of God. I'm just getting somewhere in that mix wise.
you can't tell anymore, can you?
No.
Like you used to.
No. Used to 5 minutes you could tell somebody whether
Whether they're Methodist or Baptist or Presbyterian
Oh, absolutely.
or Primitive Baptist.
That's
What
right.
was you raised?
Southern Baptist.
Southern Baptist, not Primitive
No,
Baptist.
Southern Baptist. Yeah, there's a difference now, so make sure you get that right. No, just because you can't go
Yeah,
to heaven.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. You know, though.
People don't think like that anymore,
No.
do they?
No, denominations.
Are we all wrong? Were they right?
I don't know. I've always said denominations were a drawback to a lot of people getting in churches. You know, because there was a lot of folks, and some still probably do today, that says, well, if you're not Methodist or Baptist
Yeah.
or Church of God, you
Or
can't
this
get
label.
to heaven. Yeah, and that's, I don't believe that. So
Religion is another mystery that goes beyond all this other stuff.
it really does. It's people say, I don't want to talk religion or politics. Why not? Why not? They should be topics that we do discuss. Politics is what we do every day. It dictates what we do.
Well, the people
and-
that taught us got it from somewhere.
They sure did. And I would hate to think that my religious beliefs are a waste of time. I don't believe they are. So
You know who I've got respect for is those people that run for public office and lose. Can you imagine running real hard, your spare time, your kids putting up signs, your wife doing this, and for what, 6 months or 5, would you say?
Yeah.
That is pretty hot and heavily, and the other guy gets more votes than you do. That'd have to be a kick in the bread basket, wouldn't it?
it would be a hard pill to swallow, because one, you have to believe you're going to win or you wouldn't run.
Yeah.
So, and you pour your heart and soul into it, like
And you have
said.
if everybody that's going to vote for you said they would, you'd win.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I guess that's what I enjoyed about being chairman. There were times I would say, look, Mr. Smith, if you're going to run, you're going to have a really hard time beating John Doe over here. John's been in there a long time, has done a good job.
No big issues.
Yeah, his character's good, his voting record's good, he's active or whatever. And I think a lot of people listen to the wrong crowd. Oh, you can win. You could beat those so-and-so. They've been in there too long, or they've not been in there long enough, and they're not listening to the right people, I think, sometimes.
I think you could have a worse candidate and he could beat a better candidate if he had more of a ground game or something like that. I believe that is probably 80% of it.
Yeah, hard work will get you elected in Bradley County.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that we're still a county. You know what means a lot in this county?
What?
Knocking on doors.
Oh, yeah.
I'll promise you right now, you don't know how many people say, hey, old so-and-so came by and knocked on my door and handed me a card. Now, I wasn't going to vote for him, but I am now.
I'd like to say to him, well, the other guy was working second shift,
Yeah.
and he didn't have time.
That's right.
So don't let that be the only reason.
That's right.
But they do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, especially, I call them the landline crowd.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the older generation,
Yeah.
and that means a lot to them. When they don't see a lot of people.
I was at the restaurant the other day, and this candidate came in, and he waved and went on, and one of the guys said, I'm not voting for him. And I said, why not? He said, he didn't ask me to vote for him. And I said, well, you know he's running. Why would you know he's wanting you to? Is he supposed to ask everybody in here for you to vote for him? That'd make everybody else mad. So that's not a reason not to vote for him, is it? Would you think that'd be a reason if somebody didn't ask you to vote for him?
You know, everybody likes to be asked. I promise you. I learned that a long time, early ground game of politics. They want that candidate to ask them.
See, I wouldn't vote for somebody because they asked me or didn't ask me.
That's. I agree with that 100%. But there's still a lot of people that's the sway point. If Dee Burris asked me to vote for him, even though I was going to vote for John Doe over here, I'm voting for Dee because he asked me and John Doe didn't. I would much rather you say, I did some research and here's what Dee's platform is.
Yeah.
He's looking to do this, this, and this, and John Doe's not. And I like this, but that's what makes more sense to me. But
Not the other.
yeah, but there's a ton of people, and I always tell candidates when they ask me my opinion, first thing I always tell them, say, be sure you ask for the vote. In this county, it makes a difference. Ask for the vote.
I wonder what size county, what type of a voting thing does it start to not matter? Would it be like, say, down house job, you know, that's what, a couple of counties or something?
It still
Probably
matters.
it'd matter. Probably it doesn't matter on the governor level.
No, governor.
Congress probably still does, wouldn't it?
Yes.
It'd be hard to run for Congress, wouldn't it?
Oh, my goodness, yeah. I look at, especially, I don't know how many, I know at one time Fleischman had like, 14 or 16 counties? How can one guy represent an area that's like a horseshoe shape, you know?
Well, I've met him, and boy, he's a real deal, isn't he?
He
I
is.
like
He's
him.
a worker.
He's a worker.
And I always wonder, my goodness, how does he spread himself that thin? He's a working machine. But
How many do we have? Who's his counterpart, or who is it?
well, you got Scott Desjardins. Is that what you got Desjardins. You've got Tim Burchett out of Knoxville.
That's the UFO guy, right?
Yeah, the aliens.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, he believes it, doesn't he?
Oh, I promise you, he's 100%.
I'd like to get him to come on and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah, he's like, I've met him
I
several
called,
times.
but I didn't get through.
I'll do some. I'll give
See
you
what
somebody.
you
Yeah.
do, because I did call,
Yeah.
and they called and said wanted some dates, and I gave them some dates, and that's the last I heard from them.
I'll tell you somebody that was polarizing, but I always thought kind of entertaining is old Marjorie Taylor Greene out of North Georgia.
MGT.
Yeah, right out of North Georgia. She's she's just across the line where I live there, Cohutta, and all the way down to Rome, Georgia. But
She's mainly Rome, right? Isn't that where she's
that's-
from?
Yes. Yeah, but she has.
I wonder if
Whitfield.
she's there much, or if she's in Washington.
I don't know.
Well, she's made a splash. You got to hand that to her.
Yes, sir. She has.
There's a lot against her, though, aren't there?
She's polarizing, no doubt. It's either hate her or love her. There's not even.
I'd like to know her background. You know, what?
That's interesting. Yeah.
You know, because I didn't realize that till about 6 months ago. She's literally from. We could have shopped at the same.
Yeah.
We could have all been at the Walnut Square Mall at the
That's
same
right.
time.
That's exactly right.
And she is a big deal, isn't she?
Yeah, she is now. Yeah. But she'd be a good one to have on here, just to.
MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, she's.
I'm getting a lot of views, but I don't know where it's going to go. I'm just enjoying it right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't take any time.
Oh, it's fun.
It's fun, 2 hours a week or something, and you
I
know,
like to watch it.
I really have some good. Yeah, I had Ken Webb on here a couple weeks ago, and boy, I really liked that. And then last week was the guy from Joe Bryan from the
Calhoun.
city manager of Calhoun. Boy, he's a nice guy. You know, they've been here forever. His family.
Oh, really?
Oh, like 18.
Are they part of the Bryan College family?
No,
Okay.
they are from Calhoun, and they've been in Calhoun since like 1819.
Really?
And they've all gone to Calhoun United Methodist
How about
Church.
that?
Big history.
Yeah, that is pretty
I enjoyed
interesting. Yeah. I love to hear long-term residents and old history stuff. You know, there's a couple of social media things I look at that shows, you know, some old pictures and, you know, my mom a long time ago worked at Woolworths.
Oh, Woolworths. I used to go in Woolworths.
Yeah, so I love to see some of those old pictures when she worked in the office at Woolworths. And
Now there was Woolworths,
J.C. Penney, Woolworths,
Kresge's,
and the drugstore.
and Revco.
Rexall.
Was it Rexall? Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Woolworths, they had a front door and a back door and a deli. I used to eat in there.
Oh yeah, the greatest thing they had was the banana split. Oh my gosh.
I ate their BOTs.
Yeah, I like
That was the cheapest thing on the menu.
Yeah. Every now and then, my mom give me a treat, let me have a banana split. Oh my
I
goodness.
sold grits there.
Did you?
You
Yeah,
couldn't
grit.
give those things away.
Grit papers. Oh my goodness.
I
Yeah.
was standing there all days. I was too shy to ask. I wished I did, because people would have bought them from a 10-year-old boy.
That's right. How much are they? Nickel?
They were 50. I think they were a nickel.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
I never did get a bill from the company. I didn't realize it. I guess my dad was paying for the magazines, but they'd mail them to you, and they didn't have anything in there. I mean, it was just
Oh yeah.
junk. But I don't know why I did. I wouldn't ask anybody to buy them. I'd just stand there. Like
A little shy.
I don't know why somebody didn't say, "Do you need to ask them? They'll buy it. They'll give you a quarter."
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking. Isn't that
I
funny?
forgot about Grit. Yeah.
Grit magazine.
Yeah. Where'd you go to elementary school?
I went to Stewart, North Lee, back to Stewart, and then E.O. Ross, Cleveland Junior, Cleveland High, and then Bradley High.
Okay.
I know a lot of people because of that.
Yeah. I was at Mayfield,
Mayfield,
Arnold Junior High School.
junior high school. That was like the last year maybe they
That's
had
right.
it.
And
Was
then-
Coach, you had Coach Underdown?
Oh yeah, Lou Woo Woo Underdown. Yes,
Boy,
sir.
he was
one
I
of
was
a
not
kind.
a fan.
I'll say I loved him, man. I mean, he was rough, and I would go bird hunting with him. And
Golly.
as a kid, he was tough. and
Who was he
rough.
related to that you knew?
My parents divorced, so I didn't have a dad around a lot during that time. And he kind of took me under his wing, and we got to talk about bird hunting and stuff. And he said, well, "Come, I'll take you bird hunting." And I'd go bird hunting sometimes with him. Yeah,
Was you raised by your mother?
yeah, my mother and my grandfather. Yeah, my dad's dad kind of took me under his wing. My dad was a great guy, but he just didn't have a whole lot to do with us as kids. And as we got older, he was around, and
Well, you never know what's going on with somebody.
that's right.
You can't judge all of that.
No, I
you know,
don't have any hard feelings toward my dad. I don't do it. I love my
wouldn't be
dad,
right.
love my mom, and I never saw them fight. My dad never hit her. He just had a girlfriend and left. So,
and a lot. My dad was real young. I didn't. Nobody. No, they didn't say. They didn't say you're. I thought we was poor, but it wasn't that we were going to be poor. He was just a kid, and the other kids' parents were 45,
Right.
50.
so they were established.
Well, they're established, but I didn't know that. I thought we were just, second class or something. So it was a weird, of course, we didn't have any money, but if I'd have been born when he was 40, oh, we might have had a lot of money, you know.
There's a
So
lot
you
more
just,
anyway.
have you ever thought about this? You just can't really compare anything.
No. Or anybody.
Or anybody. Have you ever looked at financial statements and thought, boy, this guy's got a lot of money. He's really a smart businessman. And this guy doesn't have a lot of money. He's not a good businessman. But this guy inherited $3 million. This guy's still taking care of his mother.
Yeah,
He may be a genius
that's right.
from where he's at. And this guy may be a dummy from where he's at.
Absolutely. Well, and the old saying is, you know, if a guy that's born into money, it's easy to make it.
Oh, it's so easy and fall off a log.
That's right. And somebody that's born into poor, less fortunate family and works his whole life, and that guy to me is a better character person usually than the rich guy. You know, a lot of times, wealth don't make you a better person.
Or smarter.
No.
If you confuse brains with smartness, you're going to mess up somewhere.
That's right.
You know, you remember Toby McKenzie?
Absolutely.
I was good friends of his.
Me too.
I was asking him one time, I said, Toby, I said, how do you always hire such good people? He said, Dee, I hire people who are successful from where they came from, not successful where they're at.
Yeah.
I thought, boy, that's smart.
It is. Toby was one of the best visionary people I've ever been around. He had that long-term vision. He really could look at things. You know, the rent-to-own business.
He was obsessive compulsive too, I believe.
Yeah.
Because I went in one time, he was eating peanut butter out of a jar.
Oh,
And he said, boy, I like this peanut butter. And I had to go back for something the next day, and he had 6 jars sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
He just couldn't stop it, whatever he did.
No matter what it was. Yeah.
So there's probably 50 of him broke
Yeah.
that had the same. He just happened to maybe hit on the right thing.
That's right.
Or maybe he hired people successful from where they came from.
That's right. And he had a guy that gave him a chance, loaned him a little money to get him started. And I know that man well. And he took a chance and said, I think I'll give him
You ever
a
heard
little
the saying, short sleeves to long sleeves to short sleeves? That saying? How is the real saying of that? I always get it messed up.
You're exactly right. But so rags to riches to rags.
Yeah.
That's the same.
In other words, one guy makes it, his son works to make it. His son wears long sleeves because he's not working,
Right.
and he loses it, so his son has to.
Short.
Yeah.
Well, and the old car business thing, I tell this story, and I won't name the dealer, but it's not a dealer in Cleveland, so everybody relax a little bit here. It's outside of Cleveland, and when I was into banking and doing auto loans, I went out and called on the dealerships, and so I went in this one dealership, and they were building this office in there, and it was huge. I mean, it was massive. Had 2 or 3 couches, 4 or 5 TVs, had their own private bathroom, private shower, you know, and I'm like, and had this mahogany desk that you could have slept on.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, have you ever seen so-and-so's office he's building? I said, no. And they said, yeah, he's going to take over for his dad. I went in there and I looked on it, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And they said, did you not know he has a PhD? And I said, no, I didn't. And I said, they said, you know what PhD is, don't you? I said, no, what is it? I said, Papa has dealership. so that's how he got to be that with his PhD. And let's put it this way. He lasted about 2 years. And Daddy had to go back and straighten the mess out and give him basically paid him to stay home.
Boy, that'd be a hard thing to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Daddy turned it over, as you say, we talked about our pitched him the keys and said, congratulations, it's yours. And it didn't last long, and Daddy had to come back and straighten it out. And anyway.
Well, now that we've been around longer, we can see through some of that stuff. Whereas before, I wouldn't have seen through some of that.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl?
I'd say the Chiefs. I'm kind of pulling for the 49ers. I'm tired of Patrick Mahomes a little bit and
I don't
Taylor
know.
Swift.
I really don't know anything about football. I don't know anything.
I'm not a big NFL guy like I used to be.
But I'll probably, I'll watch it because of
Yeah, I watch a
it's
little
the
off and
Super
on.
Bowl.
Yeah.
And Usher's on the
Halftime.
Yeah, isn't he from Chattanooga?
Chattanooga guy. Yeah, he sure is. Yeah.
I'd like to know that history. How much is he from Chattanooga? Did he just walk through, or was he?
I heard something about he went to a couple, like elementary and middle school there and stuff like that, and then moved away and then moved back for a couple of years, and then that's when he.
Where he lives now?
I think I heard Atlanta, but I'm not sure.
I think he's worth a lot of money now.
He's worth a lot of money.
I'm not a big fan of the music, really, of his music.
Rap or hip hop.
I like a lot of that, but his is just a little too melodrama or something.
Yeah.
Melody.
Yeah. I'm an old guy.
So will you watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I watch parts of it.
What will you eat?
My wife makes this cheese dip with hamburger meat in it. Velveeta melts it.
I love Velveeta.
And puts some Rotel in there.
What's Rotel?
The hot, like the peppers and like the sort of like salsa.
Rotella.
Rotella. Yeah. Put it in there and get some chips. That's my favorite. So
I'm having. My wife went down to Community Pie in Chattanooga and got 2 large pizzas, and we're going. I've never eaten them. You eaten them?
What time we eating? I'll be there. No, I'm just kidding.
Alvin Calhoun was telling me about it and said I didn't want him to show me up, so I just thought, well, I can eat 2. I just have to go pick it up. So
There you go.
anyway,
I'll tell you real quick, my favorite pizza story ever. I was working for, back then, Nations Bank, before they bought Bank of America. And the CEO was a guy named Hugh McCall. And Hugh McCall sent a corporate jet to Chattanooga, picked me up to fly me to, their headquarters were still in Greensboro before they moved to Charlotte. And so we take off out of Chattanooga, down Lovell Field, and I'm thinking, we're going west. Shouldn't we be going east? And I didn't think so. After about 15 minutes, I walked up to the pilot and I said, I'm not being a jerk, but we're going west. And I thought we were going to Greensboro. They said, we're going to pick up a guy named Kevin Trainer in Memphis, who was my counterpart out in Memphis. I'm like, oh, okay. And then they said, we're going to fly down to Birmingham, pick up a guy named, I can't think of Rick's last name. But anyway, pick up 2 or 3 people. And they're flying some people in from Phoenix and from San Francisco and places in Chicago. And I went, so we get up there and I said, we're getting ready to get fired. They've called us in to fire all of us. And, that's what you think.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, man, everybody's nervous. So we're standing around waiting in Greensboro. They said just pack a 1 day's clothes. It's business casual. You don't have to wear a tie or anything. So we're standing around, and all of a sudden his secretary comes out and says, folks, Mr. McCall has something he wants to talk to you about, but it's going to be just a few minutes. Y'all just mingle around. I'm thinking.
You're thinking for sure.
I thought, well, I hope they'll fly us back so we don't have to try to catch a plane back to Chattanooga. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. So he comes up and he walks in and says, hey, the reason we're running a little behind is I sent one of the planes to Chicago. I wanted to treat y'all to my favorite Chicago pizza. And they've hit some bad weather and they're having to fly around it, but it'll be here shortly. So they flew people all over.
Every time you hear pizza, you think of that story now.
And I told him, I said, I could have probably saved $500,000 and went to Pizza Hut and got us all a pizza.
And we'd already been eating.
Yeah, and been back to Chattanooga. So anyway, but they flew pizza in from Chicago from his favorite pizza restaurant.
That's a little ridiculous.
That's
isn't it?
way ridiculous. So, but I'm like, wow, okay.
Now, let me ask you this. What's your connection to Hunter Shamlin? Just a friend?
No, I don't like Hunter Shamlin. You can't make me say that I do. No, just for a long time friend.
He's a really great guy, isn't he?
He's a very smart young man, and he's...
One day we'll say, I knew him.
Yeah, I could see Hunter being, I'll kid aside, a congressman or maybe even a governor or something one day. He's
got the potential.
He does. He's very smart. He's a hard worker. He's very grounded.
Got a good-looking wife.
He does. I always tell him, I say, your wife likes me better than she likes you, though. Just remember that. And so we always have a running battle with Gracie and him. I tell him, I said, you outkicked your coverage big time,
She's
son.
so nice, isn't she?
She really is. She's, of course, she's Chuck Fleischman's aide here for this
Oh, that's
area.
right, yeah.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that Hunter's a good guy. He's a nice young man, so.
The sky's the limit for him.
It really is. He'll do well in life. He's a good people person and very outgoing. Doesn't meet a stranger.
Doesn't he live up towards Charleston?
Mm-hmm. Yep, he does. Up there like Mallard Cove or Mallard Point,
Something
whatever.
like that,
Up
yeah.
there. Mm-hmm. Yep, he does. His mom's a teacher, or the principal out at Taylor Elementary.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't
and
realize
his dad,
that.
of course, was a baseball coach, and now he's
Yeah,
coaching at
I remember him.
a North Georgia school. I'm not sure which one. He's told me, and I forgot which.
Boy,
which
it's
one.
a small world, isn't it? Are you excited about the future?
I am. I really am. I think I'm one of these people. I think our best days are ahead of us. And we're going through some tough times right now, but I think that the tough times will make you stronger in the future. I really.
But I
do.
mean, your future, your personal future. You're excited about
I
life?
am, absolutely. Yep.
You're going to hit it straight on?
I'm going to keep on going. I just had I told her I had a little cancer scare here, and
Oh, don't worry about that.
Yeah,
That's nothing.
And I said, got that taken care of. I went to MD Anderson in Houston and got that taken care of. That gives you a little bit more perspective on life, and that's the reason I think better days are always ahead. So makes you think a little different. Makes you care about
Thanks,
the good
Richard.
people. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming,
Yes,
buddy.
sir.